1. Welcome to Made for More Living.
One small step for man.
With Johnny Jennings.
Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
The fastest and most exciting hour of news, events, and real estate in Northern California.
And this is a fact that was proved.
Powered by EXP Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Get ready. Here we go.
So, Matt, we have a special guest in the station today.
Another one?
Another
it's like
one.
a weekly thing, isn't it?
Every week, at least one. And I am super excited to speak with this guy because he works for a brokerage similar to the one I got started with. Mine was Purple. Back in the day, good old Purple Bricks. It was a discount broker. And today we have Alan Schiller in the office with Redfin.
Yeah.
So we got a red wolf. We got a red wolf in the hen house. Alan, how did you get started in real estate? Like, what's your background?
So my background, I started actually in the fitness industry when I was like 19 years old. Started working real hard there. Bought my first house at 23, which was my first experience with real estate.
Okay, how'd that go?
It went well. I was a single man at 23. I packed out all my bedrooms. I think they were covering 100% of the rent, so I was living for free.
So you were house hacking?
Exactly. I was house hacking. 3 or 4 years later, I sold that for a decent profit and used it to open my own gym,
okay,
which I ran into coronavirus. Right when that went down, my girlfriend at the time had her real estate license, and I saw the writing on the wall for the gym, so I decided to pick up my real estate license to kind of help her out, and it was just going to be a transition job. It was like, I'll do this while I shut down the gym and figure out what I'm going to do next. So I started... as the lockdowns happened, I had free time. I got my license.
Okay.
I got a call from a recruiter from Redfin. I have no idea how they got my number.
Dude, same experience for me. I have no idea. Like, I kind of know how, but I was not looking at that option with Purple Bricks.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out for me.
It truly felt like it was meant to be because my girlfriend was like, just get your license and help me out. So I said, cool, I'll
Was
get
she
it.
with Redfin or where was she?
She was brand new. She had no idea what she was doing. She was just I was in SoCal at the time. So she joined a very local, small niche brokerage down there.
Mm-hmm.
I got my license. Recruiter called me. Oh, I didn't even have my license yet. I took my test, passed the test. I was still in the background check phase.
Yeah.
And the recruiter called me and we went through those steps and they hired me before my license officially came. And they were like, hey, you have to have it by Wednesday or like you can't have the job. Luckily, it got approved and I got the job.
Wow. And so were you still in Southern California with Redfin?
So I was doing transaction coordinating. So I was still working at the gym. We were like, it took 6-9 months to shut down. So I was doing laptop transaction coordinating, which is just paperwork for real estate.
Yep. That's a great way to learn the industry, though. Like, you're getting paid while you're learning.
Exactly. So in between classes, like I'd teach a class, a workout class. I'd go do my transactioning stuff, go back and forth all day. Right when the gym officially closed down, my girlfriend and I broke up. We had a bad breakup.
Oh, man.
I called my boss from Redfin and I was like, hey, I'm kind of hitting rock bottom here. I need 2 things from you. And I know it's a big ask because I haven't been here long. And he was like, what? I was like, I need a transfer to Northern California because I'm going back to kind of my roots where I grew up. And I need a promotion to full-time agent because this transaction coordinating stuff's not going to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Luckily, he was like, give me 1 hour and I'll call you back.
1 hour?
He called me back.
He knew somebody.
It was perfect timing. He did. He knew the guy in Northern California, and I had no idea, and he knew he was hiring. So he called me back, and he's like, you have both. We appreciate your work here. Call me if you ever need anything.
Wow.
So a week later, my bags were packed, and I was heading to Northern California to be a full-time agent.
For Redfin.
For Redfin.
Got it. And so you have family up here. That's what drew you back to Northern California?
Grew up here. Yeah, so I was born in Southern California. When I was 2, I moved up here.
Okay.
And I grew up here through high school. So at 18, I moved out.
Got it. And so when you moved up here, let's back up just a little bit. When you were getting started in the industry, yes, the recruiter reached out to you. Mm-hmm. But now that you've been with how many years have you been with Redfin now?
Going on like 4.
4 years. So now that you've been with them for a while, who do you think is a good fit for Redfin? Because I know they've had some changes recently. Yeah. And who would Redfin not be a good fit for?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first got started, I think Redfin was the perfect fit for new agents. The commission wasn't very high at all.
Yeah.
But you had a salary, you had event pay, you had gas mileage. Your bottom safety net was a lot higher than a lot of brokerages, which is what I needed at that time in my life. And they fed you a lot of leads, which was nice.
These are all coming through the Redfin website?
Redfin website. Yeah. So how that works is just you open up your calendar however you want it.
Yeah.
If your calendar's open, they'll throw on a tour appointment and they'll say, hey, meet this guy here at this time.
It's exactly how it was with us.
Yeah.
Like it was perfect for us because when we moved here, we didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have a family, we didn't know how to get to the gas station. But the brokerage we were with was providing a lot of leads similar to those, and we were closing them on average. I think it was 67%. Didn't know them from they were complete strangers.
Yeah.
Went in, and I would leave with the listing agreement signed 67% of the time.
That's awesome.
About what are you guys averaging?
So I'm probably 80% buy side. My
Okay.
listings, yeah, and that originally, if you're a new agent with not coming with a book of business, they don't title you it, but you're a buy side agent. The majority of the clients they feed you are buy side.
Okay.
Once you get experience, they kind of let you decide. Do you want to stay buy side? Do you want to go heavy list? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
I like buy side. So the only listing clients I have are if my clients want to buy and sell or if I get referrals. But I don't do a whole lot of like, I've never met you. I'm just going to listing consult type deals.
Got it. And so Redfin lets you do both. Like if they're looking to buy and then sell, they'll let you represent.
Yep, absolutely. They encourage both now. They want kind of all with one agent to keep it a little more seamless.
Yep. That makes sense. Now, if the person do they let you, if you are selling the property, like I know you don't run into this a lot, but if you were selling if you had a listing, would you also be allowed to represent the buyer on that listing?
And that's what they encourage now too. So go back 3 years, they wanted it separate. Like if you had a listing, try and pass it off to a listing agent, negotiate your split, let them do it. Now they want you to do both parties regardless where you start.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because I personally, Valerie will do it, but Johnny personally will not do both listing and represent the buyer on that listing. It's just, it's never worked out for me.
Sorry, I misunderstood your question. You're talking about dual representation.
Correct.
Okay, so that was forbidden with Redfin up until very recently. Like 3 or 4 months ago, now they allow you to do it.
Okay.
But they really want transparency, and they're totally okay if you're not comfortable doing it.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. As long as at the end of the day, it's really the client's choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I advise against it.
Yeah.
But if they're like, no, I want it, then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have somebody on my team do it.
Yeah. It gets tricky, definitely. I've approached it a couple times, and every time my conversation with my client is, at this point, I'm kind of representing both of you, so I'm just the middleman. Like exactly what you say, I'm going to verbatim translate it to the other side. Same with that. And I let them know the pitfalls that can kind of arrive. So if we ever hit anything, they already have all the information ahead of time. It's not like a surprise.
Yeah.
Because, that gets dangerous.
And the cool thing, too, about brokerages that provide a lot of leads is your exposure to the industry is much higher than somebody who's trying to figure it out on their own.
One of the biggest benefits was the volume. You just
exactly
like I started with the paperwork and then volume on deals closed on the other side. You really get your feet wet quickly and learn the business.
How many deals would you say you averaged over the 4 years you've been with Redfin?
So the first year, like little over a year, was just transaction coordinating. It was just paperwork. Didn't do any deals of my own. So I've been a full-time agent 2.5, maybe 3 years now.
Okay.
And I just broke like a little over 70 deals and about 50 million in volume.
Over that whole time?
Over the 2.5-ish years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 70 deals, so, probably like 25-ish? 25, 30 a year on average if you average
I would
it
say
out?
right around like 25, yeah, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's more than, I think that typical, so in 2023, 47% of realtors did not sell a single home. 47, almost 1 in 2.
It's crazy.
It blows my mind. And then the average realtor, 98% of real estate agents sell fewer than 18 homes a year. So that's 1.5 homes a month.
Yeah.
98%. It's just how are you supposed to learn? So you go to a restaurant and they're rattling off all the specials and all the different menu options, and they're getting paid whatever, less than what a realtor can get paid, but they know all this stuff forward and backwards. Same thing at like Starbucks or McDonald's, but the repetition is there. They're doing it day in and day out, day in and day out, and so they're really good at those tasks. But if you're a realtor and you're not getting your reps in, it's really hard to learn the industry.
And it's hard to, even if you know the industry well, if you're not getting the volume, it's hard to know what the current market's doing. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe I closed 50 deals 5 years ago, but if I'm not in the trenches in the current market, unless you're constantly searching online for market updates, like a lot of the market trends I see is just because I see it and I'm doing it every day.
Correct. All the time, Val and I will be like, oh my gosh, it's slowing down, it's speeding up. Hey, this is what's happening in the market. People will come to us and ask, hey, what are you seeing? Just because we we do more than 18 deals a year.
Yeah.
And so that's really interesting. So what are you seeing in the market?
In the market right now, a lot of hesitation. I'm seeing a lot of people are trying to predict where it's going. Like if you go back a month or two, you saw interest rates drop, then you saw them pop back up. I know a lot of people worried about the election coming up. What's going to happen with that? Hesitation through the holidays. So a lot of hesitation right now. But for the buyers out there, I think it's a great time. I think the buyer competition's low.
So with the results now that we have from the election, we saw an effect in the stock market. The stock market went up. The S&P went up. Do you think there's going to have do you think there will be a positive effect on real estate? Because obviously confidence, people are more optimistic because Trump won. Do you think that there will be a positive effect on real estate?
Medium to long term, I do. I'm convinced there will be. Short term, I think there's going to be a battle in logic between he wants to lower interest rates, which is going to give people more buying, not mortgage interest rates, I'm sorry, like taxes. He wants to lower taxes, which is going to give people more buying power, and talks about hiring tariffs, which concerns people about inflation. So if they're concerned about inflation going up and the treasury bond going up, mortgage rates may climb temporarily. Yeah. But long term, I think they will fall. I think you'll start to see them fall. My guess is, end of next year, hopefully back in the 5s.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, our crystal balls have chips and cracks in them, but at the end of the day, buyers are buying, sellers are selling. And really, Q4 is really arguably one of the best times of the year on average to purchase a home.
Yeah, if you're a buyer.
You can get some great deals. Whether that's buying your first time home or whether you're looking to invest in real estate, it's a great time to get a deal. So with that, when we come back, what we're going to do is we are going to discuss about if somebody's looking to get into real estate or looking to maybe make a change, who Redfin would be a good fit for and who would not be a good fit for.
Okay, Matt, it is no secret this time of year can get a little bit stressful because there's so much that you need to do. You're spending money left and right for friends, family, everyone coming over. And if you're trying to sell your home at this time, you just want it done easy. And that's what Sabrina wanted. So she called Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team, and she was able to get a cash offer for her home, a dream offer. She accepted it and was even able to stay in her home after closing so she could have a smooth transition to her next home, which Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty helped her buy.
And that can happen for you. No need to do all those costly home repairs, getting your home staged and clean and organized, doing open houses. At least 3 cash offer guys for your home in as-is condition. It's happening to a lot of people. Why not you? Because you expect more, get more with Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. Just Google Made for More Realty today and get more for your home. License number 1982-171.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So there have been a lot of people leaving the real estate industry. Like so many people leaving the industry because they're not making any money. It's really hard. Volume's down. Buyers are buying, sellers are selling. I get that, but in lower quantities than what they have been. And a lot of agents are wondering, hey, should I get into the industry at all? Or potential agents, should I get into the industry? A lot of people in the industry, or should I stay? If somebody's looking to make a change or is trying to figure out what the best fit might be for them, like who let's put it this way, who is Redfin not a good fit for? Who should stay away? Don't even try.
I mean, if you were already killing it as an agent and you have your systems in place and you have your team in place, I'm not sure if the benefit is worth switching everything over. I would more recommend it to anyone like beginning or in the middle of their real estate journey.
Begin the middle. Okay.
And beginning just because they do feed you a lot of leads. So if you don't have the experience of generating your own leads, it helps a lot. And they pay a lot of your fees, which helps if you're having 0 months.
Yeah.
Medium agents are really good because the compensation plan just totally changed.
Yeah, let's go into that because you guys used to be salary, right? With some bonus incentives?
Yep. So previously it was like salary, event pay, gas reimbursement, real estate fees paid. Commission was very low per deal closed. Switched all that, so salary's gone, event pay's gone. Still have, the medical, the 401k, all the benefits of being an employee, but salary's much more realistic to a traditional brokerage now, which is nice.
So when they talk about 401k and health plans, like are you paying into the health plan or is that provided?
You pay a small portion, but it's provided. They match a lot of the And same with 401k. They do matching for 401k.
So back in the good old days when I worked for Chevron, they would put, if I put 2% in, they would put 8% in.
Wow.
I know.
Nice.
I know, it was nice.
We're not living in those days anymore.
Nope. So how does that work for Redfin? Like, what's the match?
Shouldn't. I think the cap's 3%. Like, you can put in as much as you want, but I think they match up to 3%.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And so you have healthcare, you have the 401k, and then basically your commission.
And then commission now, yeah.
Okay. And what's interesting is, and honestly, I'm so excited to talk to you about this because we were talking off the air, and what Redfin is pivoting to is honestly what I believe in the depths of my being, what Zillow is going to be doing. And so can you share a little bit about how Redfin is now pushing teams?
Yeah. So they're trying to be like a one-stop shop type place. So they picked up a mortgage.
Just like Zillow.
Exactly. They picked up a mortgage company, Bay Equity, nationwide mortgage company. They started their own title company, so they have that now as well.
Just like Zillow.
And now they're pushing teams. And there's different variations of teams that work, but the one I see that they're pushing the hardest and tends to be the most successful so far within Redfin is like a top producing agent or top producing 2 agents mentoring more beginner style agents. It's just mutually beneficial.
All within Redfin. This isn't like going out and finding a top producing agent.
You can. So you could definitely stay within Redfin and do it within Redfin. If I found someone that was new, that was maybe struggling a little bit or just wanted support, absolutely I can pick them up. If I came to Redfin and was like, hey, I think this guy would be a great fit, he still has to go through the hiring process, but much more likely to be picked up knowing he'd automatically be on someone's team.
Got it. And so now Redfin is kind of doing what I believe ultimately Zillow is going to do. And so this is kind of interesting. I'm kind of curious to see how it plays out. So Redfin's kind of doing the beta on, hey, is this platform, this major national portal that provides a lot of leads and healthcare and 401k, like the typical things you don't find in your traditional real estate brokerage, are they going to be able to build this out into a profitable model?
Yeah.
Because I firmly believe if you're on a Zillow Flex team in 5 years, you're going to be working for Zillow. I firmly believe that. That's the only way Zillow's model continues to grow.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. We'll see how accurate Johnny's crystal ball is on that. So if you're a medium to newer agent, Redfin's a great place to get your feet wet. And then, but now with this compensation model, wouldn't even a more experienced agent benefit from?
I think so. I think previously one of the biggest reasons they switched it was they were seeing they were really good at developing agents, but once you became a really good agent, they saw a lot of people leaving to go somewhere with a higher split.
That's what I was seeing.
Now, if you build within Redfin, I think it's a great place to stay, even if you're at the top of your game. I just don't know, like, if I was crushing it somewhere else, like, why take the risk to switch anywhere, not Redfin specific. But if you're built within Redfin and already there and crushing it, I would stay at this point.
Yeah. So it's a good point. So if you are crushing it, or if maybe you want to take it to the next level, to me, joining a Redfin, and this is not a plug for Redfin, just an honest conversation between two people. It's basically Redfin Flex is what it is.
And they do have a lot of leads. Like, not many people know. We get excess leads where because we're capped per month depending on several variables, but they'll have so many leads in our area that they give it to non-Redfin agents. And then they just take a smaller kick. I don't know what those financials look like. But
so that way those people are still being serviced, but your agents aren't overworked.
And when we slow down, when the market slows down, they don't have to let a bunch of people go. They just close off the tap to the non-Redfin agents, and they keep us full. So it's kind of like a safety net for them.
Got it. So it's the overflow. Love that. And then, quick question for you. So, as far as like Redfin, like when I go into a listing appointment, I have typically pulled a number of valuations from different websites. So typically, I'm looking at Realtor.com, I'm looking at Zillow, I'm looking at Homes.com, I'm looking at Redfin, and I'm looking at RPR, Realtor Property Resource, and I'm just pulling all these numbers to see. Okay, here's what my potential seller has seen. So what are they expecting when I have the value conversation with them? When you go in and you meet with sellers and you have the value conversation, are they expecting you to toe the line to Redfin, or like how do you come up with the value?
So just like you do, I research those mainly for what are my seller expectations going to be at, kind of like you said. I don't hold a crazy amount of stock. Sometimes they're very close to the numbers I run when I run comps and evaluate it myself. Sometimes they're far off. And it's just because any website, Zillow, Redfin, all of them, you can't take into account, like, it just takes into account the basics: beds, size, square foot, location.
Yep.
But it's not taking into account, like, is it right next to this busy street? Is it right? A lot of the little nuances it doesn't take into account.
Yeah.
And I just try and educate the sellers as much as I can on, like, hey, I know these are the numbers you were looking at. I know this is what you think it is. My number differs up or down, doesn't matter. But here's why it differs, and here's why I got to this number opposed to just this number.
Okay, so they're not. They understand there's some wiggle room with that number when you, even though they're calling a Redfin agent and they're like, hey, well, your website's at X.
Yeah. And usually I don't get it up front like that. If they bring it up, and they don't bring it up all the time, it's towards the end of the sales speech is why does it differ? And then I just try and explain that. Well, I try and explain it either way. But if I forget or whatever, that's where I explain it. It's usually not up front like, hey, can I get $850 for my house or whatever it might be.
Okay. And so it's a similar conversation when you're making offers for buyers. Hey, Redfin said it was worth this much. I should offer less.
I don't usually get into buyers with that. Buyers, okay. I don't think as much see the value online, like go research the estimate online. And I think I've watched Redfin and Zillow. I've watched it because I'll have a listing coming up. So I will search the house when it's off market,
yep.
and it'll say one number. The second it hits the market, it gets a lot closer to that listing number. So it's usually very close. So I don't get that as much from buyers once it's already on the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So what I've noticed too is as soon as it hits the market, you're right, the number changes. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is even if you have to do price adjustments, let's say I suggested a price and they said, I hear you, Johnny. I know you're a professional. I know you sell a house on average every 3 days, but I want to do this price.
Yeah.
And then we end up doing a price adjustment. What's interesting is Zillow lately, I've noticed 9 times out of 10 is about 10 grand below whatever our marketing price is at that time. So if we reduce it by 10 grand, boom, Zillow just dropped another 10. Yeah. So if it was 780, Zillow's saying 770. If I drop to 770, Zillow's now saying 760. So it's just an algorithm. It's not a person. It's not. Mm-hmm. They don't really know. And honestly, neither does your realtor. It's only when that buyer comes in, because we recently were in a transaction where the person wanted the house. Why? Because grandma lived 2 doors down. They were willing to overpay because you can't get grandma anywhere else in the Sacramento region. So they were willing to overpay. And Zillow and Redfin, they just don't see that.
Yep.
So awesome, man. And then when you're out working with buyers, like, has this had any impact on, like, how do the fees work as far as Redfin goes? Because Redfin is traditionally known as less expensive than say like a Made for More or another brokerage. Like, how do your fees differ?
So on two answers to this. So on the buy side, even with the new laws that took place back in August, I see 95% of sellers covering buy-side commissions.
Absolutely.
So I'm just telling my buyers, like, hey, this is the commission we charge. Here's a little way to get a discount. If you want to get a discount and agree to, sign with us early, it makes your offer stronger. However, more than likely, you're not going to be paying any of this fee anyways. If you do pay a portion or all of it, you will know the exact amount way before you have to sign and agree to that.
Yeah.
So we're good. On the sell side...
Wait, that's really smart, doing a discount to get them to agree to the buyer broker. How many people agree to the discount? Is it like 1 in 10, or is it a sizable number? So
full transparency, everyone should, because we don't even have them sign a buyer brokerage agreement. So you're not locked into us. It's not exclusive. It's, hey, these are our fees. We're trying to stay compliant with the new laws. We just want you to sign saying we know your fees. If you sign before your second tour, you automatically get a discount. If you leave us and go use John Jennings, we're not going to come after you. You can leave us. You can go use Johnny.
Well, that's how the default buyer broker is written. It's a non... That's how I describe it. This isn't locking you into me. This isn't like a listing agreement. This is, hey, these are our fees. You're aware of them. And then now let's go look at houses.
That's it. Yep.
Okay. All right. So do you have people typically agree to the 0.25%?
Most of them do, yeah. Once I explain it, that it's not exclusive, and get them to trust you a little bit. Most of them do.
Interesting. Hey, agents out there, that's a pro tip.
Yeah. And then on the other side, the listing side, we start at 1.5%. So that's kind of where you get the discount model from.
Okay.
So we start at 1.5%.
What do you mean start at?
So you can go lower. So if you just sell with Redfin, it's a 1.5% listing fee. If you sell and buy with Redfin within a year, we discount the listing fee 0.5%, so it's 1% flat on the listing side.
So that would just be rebated when you purchase?
If they're closing at like the exact same time, we just charge you 1%. If the buy side closes way later because things happen, it may not close, we refund you. Yeah.
Okay. And then is there a minimum? Because like 1% of $100,000 or 1.5% of $100,000 is not a lot.
Minimum switched area to area, so there's not like a standard nationwide minimum, but yeah, every area has a minimum.
Okay. So it's either the minimum or 1.5%, whichever is greater?
So if it's above the minimum, our minimum, then it's just 1.5%. Exactly.
Yeah.
If not, it has to be at least the minimum.
Got it. Okay. So that clarifies that. Matt, what questions do you have?
Well, first off, why would you bring on the competition on your show? Seriously want to ask that question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I believe there's one, enough business out there for everybody, and two, not everybody is going to want a Redfin agent. There's differences between the approaches that we have, and so I think it's called a Venn diagram where the circles overlap. Is that what that is?
Yep.
So a guy who I respected tremendously, very smart guy, his name's Kenny. Kenny drew a Venn diagram for me one time, and on one end you have about 15% of the market. 15% of the market wants a discount. They're going to pay for a discount. As long as they're getting a discount, they think they're winning. On the far end, on the other end of the Venn diagram, is the 15% amount of people who want to overpay. They want to say they paid X. They're going to buy the Rolex. They're going to buy the Bentley. So they can say they paid. It's more of a status thing. And then in between, so between the two, 15%, that's 30, right? 15 on the low end, 15 on the high end. That's a total of 30%. In between all that is everybody else. And some of them are looking for a discount. Some of them are looking for a little bit more of a premium experience. And what does that look like? So for me, having Alan on the show and talking about Redfin and how their model works and all that that's gonna cater towards the people who are the 15% on the lower end, and maybe some of the middle. But ultimately, it's not. His clients aren't going to be my clients.
And I think from a buyer's perspective or seller's perspective, I wouldn't shop brokerages necessarily more so than the agent you're dealing with in front of you, because you have such a wide variety of agents, skill levels and talent levels and ability within all brokerages.
I love that. So let's say you had a dear friend who was looking to buy or sell a home. What advice would you give them? Like, they don't live locally, but they're coming to you. How do I find a good agent? What would you tell them? Well,
let's say it wasn't in my area, because I would just tell them to use me.
There you go.
But let's say they were looking in a different area. I would advise them to find a local agent that has expertise in that area, that is busy enough so he knows the market and knows the volume and knows the trending shifts, but not like the very top of a team where he may or she may pass you to someone that's not them. So like, realize who you're going to work with, sign to work with that agent, and make sure they have experience in that local area.
Got it. And so how do you gauge experience though?
I guess if you're on the sell side, it's a little bit easier because you can interview. It's basically an interview. Several clients, they usually bring their stats and their track records. And for Redfin, at least, if you typed in like Alan Schiller Redfin, you can see all my stats. You can see all the houses I've helped buy and sell, what areas were they, what time frames they, and price points. So it's all available there. And then we ask for a review from every client, good or bad, and automatically gets posted.
On Redfin.
So if each Redfin agent has a profile page, so that would be good for that. Other brokerages, I don't know them all, but I would just ask them and then try and find a place you can verify that. From the buy side, it's a little bit harder, but same thing, just asking and trying to verify and getting a feel for, if you've gone on a couple tours, how quickly they reply and get back to you. Because when you're in a market that's really demanding, like we were 2 years ago, a day could be the difference between getting the house and not getting the house. Slower markets, not that important. But busier markets, like how quick are they replying and how quickly are they going to get your offer in or your information is huge.
And I don't know about you, but every single time we have a buyer who's interested in a property, like let's say we've had a listing, it's been on the market, 2 weeks, no activity. And then all of a sudden, We get one buyer. I don't know where these buyers, like, it's like they have a secret like committee and they're all deciding to make offers on the same house at the same time. All of a sudden offers have babies and now there's been no activity and now there's 2 offers on the same house.
Yep.
It's like, what happened? Where were you guys, a week ago?
Yep.
So if your agent's not responsive, if they're not quick to show you the property, if they're not quick to write the offer, if they're not quick to call the listing agent and figure out what exactly the seller is looking for in terms of an offer so we can put it together, then you could miss out on the home.
Yep.
So speed.
That's a good interview question for your agent too. Like, hey, if you tend to get busy next week and I need to see a house at this time because I work, I only have an hour or two availability to see a house, who's going to show it to me?
Yeah.
And if they don't have an answer to that, it's problematic.
That's very true. Yeah. Needed a depth of talent. So does that answer your question, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. That's good stuff. I like that. Mike, they say there are 2 guarantees in life: death and taxes.
Yes, that's very true.
But they're forgetting one. There's the guarantee from Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. They'll give you at least 3 guaranteed cash offers on your home in as-is condition. Like they did for Sabrina. She wanted a cash offer on her home, so they brought her a dream offer. She accepted it and was even able to stay in the home after closing so she could make a smooth move to her next house, which they helped her buy.
Yeah, and there is something special about using Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty because they have an entire team to make your home buying process as easy and simple and stress-free as it can be. And if you choose to go with the cash offers, you don't even got to do all the showings and have strangers walking through your house, none of it. Plus, you get on average a 3% higher purchase price and they will sell your home 27% faster than other realtors. So, you expect more? Get more with Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. Just Google Made for More Realty today and get more for your home. License number 198-2171.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So the elections are behind us now, and
thank God.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Amen. So
I was so done with those ads. Who's going to clean up all those political signs?
Oh my gosh, in our
polluting our neighborhoods.
So I live in one of those communities that has an HOA, and they were very specific on the size of the sign and how long the signs could come up or could stay up. So you could only put them out 90 days before the election.
Oh, really?
And they got to come down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see all the ads go away. And
I think they have a special company that's supposed to go out and pick all those up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I don't know who's paying for that. Probably us taxpayers.
I don't know. Is that going to survive Elon's efficiency
right
thing or whatever he's got going on? But one of the propositions that failed to pass was Prop 33, which involved like expanding rent control in the state of California. And
I think I voted yes for that. To be honest with you,
you wanted it. You wanted rent control.
Well, you've made the argument that we're going to enter a society where more and more people are going to rent. It's just going to be unaffordable for most people to buy a home. Individual families.
Not necessarily even unaffordable, but the lifestyle. People are like, well, why would I want to lock myself into a mortgage and deal with all of that when I can rent and then move somewhere else as you're able to work remote? So
if more people are going to be interested in renting and that's going to be a common thing, then why not have rent control so it's affordable?
So you think rent?
I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm trying to make an argument and challenge your reasoning of why rent control would be a bad idea.
Yeah. So it's really
hard.
And
is it a bad idea depending on which situation you're in? Correct?
So generally speaking, rent control is a bad idea. And the reason why is it's taking, I'm in favor of letting the market do what the market's going to do. As soon as you start messing with it, you start trying to manipulate it, it very rarely works out well for the end user. And when you are imposing rent control, yes, that sounds good. It sounds like you may be helping the person that's looking to rent or the low-income family or the person that has just lost their job or is going through a divorce or whatever the life situation is. But what ends up happening is a number of things. One, it ultimately will reduce the housing supply. So think about all the investors, all the mom and pop investors, all the families who are like saying, hey, you know what? Rather than put my money in a 401k account, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy a rental unit. And they're going to now rent this out. They're going to keep it clean. They're going to keep it nice. And they're going to now provide this to the community.
Makes sense.
You're going to have fewer people doing that because why would they want to take the risk of being upside down on a property or being negative cash flow if rent control is randomly, enacted?
Yeah, I mean, historically, you look at places like on the East Coast, New York, where there's a lot of properties that have that rent control. But what happens is they turn into slums, right?
They turn into slums.
That's like, what's my motivation to upkeep this place and make it, homey?
Not only that, but like
you're limiting how much I can bring in.
You're limiting how much they can invest in the property because you're limiting what they can make from the property, and then also with that reduced housing supply, you just have a bunch of slums because more people are not willing to go into that environment because they're so reduced housing supply leads to reduced quality of housing, and really it's just a bad thing all around, because it's hurting the people it's designed to help. And if you are struggling to make your rent payment, if you're struggling to make ends meet, yes, it sounds like, okay, that would be a good solution, controlling the rent. And temporarily, yes, but long term, it just ends up hurting the people. Section 8 ends up hurting people long term. It's not designed to be a...
but how does it hurt them long term?
Because the root problem isn't the cost of the housing. The root problem is the amount of money they're making.
Right.
That's the root problem, and it's not addressing the root problem.
Right. But they would see rent control as an easier, less work on them solution. Less burden and responsibility. All right, hey, I could try to hustle and make more money, get a better job, but rent control is so much easier.
You could argue that, but the numbers over the last, 30, 40 years of Section 8 housing has not shown that Section 8 helps upward mobility. It just traps people where they're at. Rent control does not provide cleaner, safer, more affordable housing. It provides less housing and at a lower quality. This isn't like we're not talking about like theoretical things here.
Facts are the facts. This is math. It's just math.
It's just math. It's just what happens. And so, unfortunately, I totally get the idea of wanting to help somebody, but is the help helping or is it really just hurting them?
Well, it's interesting that it didn't pass in California. So, in a liberal state, where we are very pro-government in California, we're looking for more control and all these different.
They may have been bitten off. They may have bitten off too much.
Is that what you think?
Yeah, I think eventually a version of it will pass. Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but they went too big. They went big. If it was a more toned down version of it, it probably would have gone through.
Interesting. That's the way it works in politics, isn't it? It's gradually, a little bit at a time, till eventually you're in boiling hot water.
Yep.
And how did we get here? But the other news that came out of the election is obviously Trump was reelected for another term, and people are saying that this is going to bring more optimism to the market. Obviously, the stock market went up the day after he was elected, and Trump comes from real estate. He's a pro-business man.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of people in business in real estate that are excited that they're going to have a president in the White House that's going to fight for them, that's going to work with the feds to lower rates and provide all these, different strategies, opportunities for real estate to get back on track and move up. What do you think?
So I definitely think Trump is going to be better for housing than Kamala would. Essentially, and the main reason why is Trump is big on deregulation. So he's like, so he's big on lowering taxes and is big on deregulation. So he's like, get all the government bureaucracies, all these agencies out of here and let people just do what they do and grow the economy, grow the markets, build houses. And so by, one, decreasing taxes, that helps with like the capital gains, short-term, long-term capital gains from when you sell a house. So that's a good thing. It's putting more money back into the economy when somebody sells rather than it going to the government, which the government, doesn't have the best track record for efficiency with your money.
Right, of course.
So the money's going back into the economy, and then two, by deregulating a lot of the policies around where you can build, how much it costs to build, like that lowers the cost Like regulations, there are many industries who, if you just deregulated them, again, sometimes people hear deregulation and they think make it unsafe. But when I'm saying deregulate, I'm saying just get rid of the unnecessary regulations that are just bottlenecking it and making it so hard to do business.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you deregulate that's basically making it more affordable and making it easier for these builders to build homes. And we do have a housing shortage supply, like a housing shortage. And so in order to fix that, you need to build more homes. In order to build more homes, you need to make it easier to build more homes. And I believe Trump will be able to do that.
The challenge is, even though you have got a president in the White House that's more conservative and pro-business, you have a governor, Gavin Newsom, who's the opposite.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's
that's
power,
the tough part.
Yeah, separation of powers there between the federal and the state level. So if they're federal regulations, you're able to trim the fat there, and some places will have more benefit, will reap more benefit from that. But
so, are you excited for 2025? Do you feel like are you optimistic? Do you think things are going to start shifting?
Yeah, absolutely.
For real estate?
Yeah. So I'm always optimistic. Like
you're always the glass is half full kind of guy.
Well, I temper it. Like I'm like, try to go and say, hey, this could happen. But every day I'm like, Valerie, it's going to be a good week. Oh, next month's going to be a great month. Like, it's just how I choose.
It's a mindset, because you're right. Those that really do well in this country, that succeed, they persevere through the hard times. I look at COVID. COVID was a really tough time as a whole for our country, for people, but there were some that took advantage of the situation. And I'm not talking about in a bad way.
Sure.
They persevered where everybody else was down. They decided to rise up and, I'm going to excel and do well and persevere through these times. That's happened through wars. You've had great companies come out of the wars that we've had, through depression. That's what those are the type of people that you see succeed. And I like that mindset that you have, that it doesn't matter what's going on. You can still be successful and persevere and do well.
You can still be successful. You can still do well, but you do have to keep pushing. You do have to keep working. You do have to keep showing up. And people who retract during the hard times find it harder to gain traction during the good times. But if you keep pushing through the hard times, it'll be great. But the other side of that coin is...
I think that's just a good analogy for life in general, though.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's easy to say, hard to do, because when you don't want to get up, when you don't want to go to work, when you don't want to invest in something that will pay you money down the road but isn't going to pay you right now, it's really hard to write the check. It's really hard to invest in yourself or in your company or whatever you have going on. The other thing, though, too, why I think 2025 will be an interesting year and a better year for real estate is, and I've used this analogy before, that rubber band has just been stretched so tight. People have been waiting for years to move. And all through 2024, we were hearing, we're going to wait till after the election. We're going to wait till after the election. Well, whether that was a genuine, concern, or whether that was them kicking the can down the road, regardless, that objection is gone. So if they were telling their spouse, hey, let's wait till after the election, if they were telling themselves, hey, let's wait till after the election, that's gone. And there's just going to be, people are tired. They want to move. There's been so little movement in the market right now that, families have grown. Families have shrunk. People don't need their 2-story homes. They need to move into a 1-story home. And all these needs are still there, but people have been frozen waiting.
People are retiring. They want to move out of state or...
they want to go from California to Texas.
Right.
and
I saw a sign during the election that people were spreading throughout Texas. It said, "Don't California, Texas." I said that to my brother-in-law in Texas. They did not want Californians coming to Texas, but that's what's happening. That's why our electoral count reduced from the last election.
Yeah, and how many Texas went up.
Right.
Yep. And it just shows you where people are moving. And that's a whole nother conversation. Is the Electoral College good or bad? I used to be anti the Electoral College, but now I'm more in favor of it.
Why is that?
It makes the election process more fair.
Yeah. It's representative. We're a representative republic.
Yeah. If it was simple majority, then it's basically mob rule at that point.
Yeah, because then you have California with... Yeah, I mean...
Your voice wouldn't be heard if you were in Vermont.
Right.
Or in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Your voice wouldn't matter. Pennsylvania had 19, votes. If Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, they would not have been you would not have seen the presidential candidates campaigning as heavily as they were there.
Sure.
If it was a simple majority.
Right.
And so to me, it just lets more people's voice be heard more evenly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Pro college. Yeah.
Okay, Matt, it is no secret this time of year can get a little bit stressful because there's so much that you need to do. You're spending money left and right for friends, family, everyone coming over. And if you're trying to sell your home at this time, you just want it done easy. And that's what Sabrina wanted. So she called Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team, and she was able to get a cash offer for her home, a dream offer. She accepted it and was even able to stay in her home after closing so she could have a smooth transition to her next home, which Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty helped her buy.
And that can happen for you. No need to do all those costly home repairs, getting your home staged and clean and organized, doing open houses. At least 3 cash offer guys for your home in as-is condition. It's happening to a lot of people. Why not you? Because you expect more, get more with Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. Just Google Made for More Realty today and get more for your home. License number 1982-171.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So, Johnny, is it common in a real estate transaction to ask for the appliances with the home? Like, hey, we want the washer and dryer and the refrigerator when we purchase the home. Is that common?
I wouldn't say it's common, but I wouldn't say it's uncommon. Like it happens frequently.
Okay, so listen to this. Our friends were buying a home, and they really liked the washer and dryer and the refrigerator. They were newer, they were nice, and they were coming from an apartment, so they didn't have those, and it would save them thousands of dollars. So
when they're nicer, people tend to want them.
Yeah.
If it's an old washer, old fridge, people don't care.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to deal with getting rid of it.
So in their offer, they asked for the appliances, and everything was signed. The owners were good with that, the sellers. So they go to start making plans of moving in. There's the owners moving out, and guess what? They're loading that washer and dryer and refrigerator onto the moving truck.
So your friends
and my friends
saw
are like,
moving?
what the heck? That's ours. What are you doing?
Oh my
and
gosh.
apparently the sellers were like, no, we didn't agree to that. What are you talking about? Just created this drama because the buyers thought the appliances came with the home, and the sellers thought, no, we never agreed to that. But obviously it's in the contract.
Interesting. So it may not have been in the contract. And so this is a really interesting point. So when we are meeting with sellers and they have nice furniture, nice fridge, nice washer and dryer, and they're like, oh yeah, and we'll give that as long as the price is right, we'll give that to the buyers. So okay, great. Let's keep that, to ourselves. We're not going to put it in the marketing, because if it's in the marketing, you have to do it. Like if you're marketing, hey, here's a paid for solar system.
Wait a second. So you, as the real estate agent, are telling the sellers that you're not going to put that in the.
I say let's negotiate that.
Okay.
Let's use that as a negotiating tactic. But if you upfront put it in the marketing, like the listing description when you're on online reading about it, if it states it in there, you have to do it.
Okay.
So let's say an extreme example is, let's say the property has solar, and you say, hey, this house has solar, blah 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 blah. Technically, a case could be made that whether or not that solar system is paid off, that seller is going to have to pay off that solar system.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what probably happened with your friends was they may have included it in the marketing. It may have been, hey, beautiful, beautiful washer, dryer, fridge, stainless steel upgrades. And their buyer's agent said, hey, great, all this is in here. It's going to be included because it's in the marketing. Like the agent probably knew what they were doing, but the listing agent may have made a mistake and didn't communicate that to her sellers. And that's probably where the conflict happened.
I think maybe both parties were just misinformed by their agent. Then maybe it wasn't in the contract. You're right. I think there was some conversations,
the conversations. I hate
hallway
those
water cooler conversations
Oh
where my friends, they talked to their agent. Maybe their agent never brought it up. Maybe it was never a discussion.
Oh my word.
Maybe they talked to their agent and say, hey, we really like that. Can you tell them we want that? And maybe they just forgot to tell them. Maybe they thought they were going to tell them. Or maybe the agent was like, well, that'll be their problem.
So here's the other reason why I don't
As long as I get the home sold, who cares about the washer and dryer? Maybe they'll just forget about that. So
here's another thing. Let
me tell you what happened though.
Oh yeah,
so
play out.
the owner still took the washer and dryer and the refrigerator, and they just gave him some cash instead. So they were still unhappy. Right?
Either the seller paid cash or the agent was like, I don't want to deal with this, and maybe they fork over some cash to put it together. But I hate. So when you're buying a house, you're buying a house. You're buying real property. You're not buying a washer and dryer. You're not buying a patio set. You're not buying a barbecue. And I hate it when that becomes part of when you start introducing personal property into the real estate transaction, it never works out. So we went from negotiating a house worth $500,000, $600,000, $800,000 to arguing over a used fridge that's probably worth $1,000. And this is going to make or break the deal. And it just blows my mind.
It's funny.
It's funny. It's funny. It's not, if you're not the one dealing with it.
It's a great point of how home buying and selling is an emotional transaction. It's so emotional. It's not common sense.
I was talking with a guy yesterday. He's like, Johnny, I'm transitioning into commercial. And I'm like, really? Why? He's like, it's all about numbers.
Yeah.
People just care about the numbers. There's no emotions involved.
I am not a psychologist. I am not a therapist.
Yeah.
I don't have a minor.
He's like, I love it. And I'm like, hey, that you make a compelling argument. My favorite personal property story has to do with the fountain. So this house has been sitting on the market for maybe like 2-3 weeks, and had this beautiful fountain in the backyard. Mind you, this house backed up to a railroad, the train tracks. It was near a cemetery, so it had all these things going against it, but it had this beautiful fountain. And the property closes. The buyers did not ask for the fountain. There was nothing in the contract, nothing in the marketing description. Yes, there was a picture of it, in the shot of the backyard, but it was this beautiful, like 3-tier fountain. And the buyers go to move in, and they're like, where's the fountain? So I'm getting blown up from the buyer's agent. Johnny, where's the fountain? I'm like, what are you talking about? The thing was huge.
Was it attached to the property, though? Because I hear if it's attached to the property.
Yes, it was wired. It was wired in.
Wow.
So it's considered wired in. It's considered part of the property. And then I get a call. I'm like, dude, I don't know what happened to the fountain. And so I'm trying to call my seller and say what happened to the fountain. I get a call 30 seconds later. It's the agent. He goes, Johnny, the fountain is in the neighbor's backyard. So they sold the fountain to their neighbor. And so the buyers of this home.
Oh, the fountain was moved to the neighbors.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So the home sellers, rather than leave the fountain in their own backyard, they sold it to their neighbors, made an extra $500, and now the people that bought the house have to stare at this fountain, which technically it's their fountain.
Yeah.
It was considered part of the property.
Yeah.
It's like removing a chandelier or removing a a plumbing fixture.
See, real estate, never is it boring. It's always fun.
It's always exciting. And so if you want to learn more about working with us and how we can help you get a great deal on a house or sell your house for more money, expect more, get more with Made for More Realty. Just go to madeformorerealty.com.